It was a bustling evening at my restaurant, a vibrant spot that had served as a cornerstone of the community for decades. My grandparents, who immigrated to Canada from Italy in the 1970s, had opened this establishment with nothing but a small loan and a fierce passion for cooking. They poured their hearts into every dish, infusing the menu with family recipes that spanned generations. After their passing, my parents took over, modernizing the restaurant while preserving its essence, adapting to changing tastes while maintaining the traditional flavors that made us special. I grew up in these walls, learning the ins and outs of the business from the ground up, working every position from dishwasher to chef. When my parents retired and moved to Florida, they handed me the reins, selling the restaurant to me but holding on to a small percentage for financial security. Eager to honor my family's legacy and infuse new life into the restaurant, I dove headfirst into revitalizing it. I hired a designer to create a sleek, modern space that still echoed our Italian roots, with warm wood accents and vibrant murals depicting scenes of my grandparents' hometown. I rebranded with a fresh logo that captured the restaurant spirit and launched a marketing campaign to reach a broader audience. I invited local food critics, bloggers, and influencers to experience our revamped menu, hoping for that crucial buzz to kickstart our new chapter. The initial months were rocky. I often found myself pacing the kitchen, doubts gnawing at me about whether I'd made a grave mistake by risking 3 generations of hard work. Just when I began to fear failure, everything changed. A local YouTuber featured us in a glowing review, and suddenly, our reservations exploded. By December, our tables were booked solid for months in advance, and we had become a go-to venue for high-profile events, celebrated by food lovers across the city. On this particular night, the restaurant hummed with the joy of the holiday season. The air was thick with the scents of garlic and rosemary, mingling with the sweet notes of desserts wafting from the kitchen. Twinkling lights adorned the windows, casting a warm glow on the guests who filled the dining room with laughter and conversation. As I moved from table to table, ensuring everyone felt welcomed, a group of 6 women arrived. They were dressed to the nines, clearly celebrating something special, their laughter echoing through the restaurant. Their leader, whom I later dubbed Queen Bee Karen, strode confidently towards me, a self-assured smile on her face. She approached me with an air of entitlement, proclaiming she knew the owner, me, and demanded a VIP table, which we typically reserve for celebrities and special events. I played along, maintaining my best professional demeanor, even though I had no idea who she was. When I asked for her reservation name, she hesitated, her bravado faltering for just a moment before she finally admitted she hadn't made one at all. However, she insisted that I should accommodate her because we were friends. At that moment, I made a conscious choice to keep my identity a secret, wanting to see how this encounter would unfold. As the conversation continued, Karen's demeanor shifted from faux friendly to downright abrasive. She ordered one of her friends to take a picture of me, announcing she would ensure I was either cleaning toilets or fired by the end of the week. Her friends erupted in laughter, egging her on, mockingly telling me to kiss my job goodbye. The arrogance of this group infuriated me, especially as they belittled me, assuming I was just a lowly waiter with no authority or influence over the restaurant. I stood there, wrestling with my options. I could expose my role as the owner and put them in their place, grant them their request out of professional courtesy, or take a stand against this entitled behavior. Ultimately, I chose the latter, with a polite smile masking my irritation. I led them to one of the 3 VIP tables I had kept open for high-profile guests, a strategic move designed to make them think they had won some sort of status. I pretended to apologize for the inconvenience, ensuring them that their first 3 rounds of drinks would be complimentary, a gesture meant to sweeten the deal and perhaps soften their egos. Karen eagerly accepted my offer, her attitude shifting slightly as they settled into the plush seating. To maintain the facade, I explained that I would need their credit card and IDs to keep on file until they left. Queen Karen, pleased with her newfound status, confidently handed me her card, declaring that the night was on her. As I took their orders, I could feel their energy shift, their entitlement still palpable, but momentarily overshadowed by the allure of the VIP treatment. I served their drinks, carefully reminding them that, due to the busy holiday season, their meals might take a little longer to arrive. As the night wore on, the group drank excessively, ordering round after round of extravagant cocktails, blissfully unaware of the mounting cost. They grew increasingly intoxicated, their laughter turning to raucousness, as they downed expensive drinks crafted with premium liquors and unique ingredients. I kept a close watch on their consumption, knowing they were at the VIP table, where menu prices were not displayed. When the appetizers finally arrived, the girls were already far gone, laughing loudly and continuing to order, oblivious to the fact that each cocktail was contributing to an eye-watering bill. The average dinner at that VIP table usually cost around $2,000, and with their choices of high-end cocktails and extravagant appetizers, I anticipated a very lucrative evening. After hours of indulgence, I returned to the table with the bill, having meticulously calculated the total to reflect their extravagant consumption. As I placed it before them, I could see disbelief wash over Queen Karen's face. The total read an astonishing $4,000. The reality of their situation struck them hard as they processed the staggering cost of their VIP experience. A night that was supposed to be filled with glamour and celebration had morphed into a painful lesson in humility. Karen's bravado faded as she turned pale, the laughter that had filled the air replaced by a heavy silence. As they scrambled to comprehend what had just happened, I felt a rush of satisfaction. Not only had I defended my restaurant from this entitled group, but I had also delivered a powerful message about respect and humility. As they begrudgingly gathered their belongings, I couldn't help but reflect on the values my grandparents had instilled in me, the importance of hard work, respect for others, and the lessons that often come too late, lessons they clearly needed to learn. In the end, it wasn't just a table they had lost. It was their dignity, and I made sure they would remember this night for a long time. The sense of triumph was bittersweet, serving as a reminder of the struggles faced in the restaurant industry and the importance of treating everyone, no matter their role, with respect. The evening began with a lavish offering of specially imported oysters from the West Coast, presented alongside an array of other upscale menu items. As the night unfolded, I found myself engulfed in a wave of uncertainty regarding my role in the situation. I started to question whether I was pushing the boundaries with these young women, who might not fully grasp the weight of their actions and their consequences. One particularly unsettling moment came when one of the younger women, part of the group I later dubbed the Baby Cans, asked me directly if I ever felt that my life was pointless because I had become nothing more than a server. Her question struck a chord, reverberating in my mind and causing me to reevaluate my place in the unfolding drama. However, throughout the night, certain comments from the group encouraged me to remain engaged. For instance, one of the staff members casually mentioned they were plotting to mess with me, believing they could easily manipulate me into giving them whatever they desired. As the night continued, I overheard numerous remarks regarding my appearance and demeanor, one young woman commenting, "He's cute, but I wouldn't date a waiter. He's such a pushover." These comments only fueled my resolve to impart some valuable life lessons to them. By the end of the evening, each of the women had accumulated a staggering bill ranging from $500 to $600. I approached Queen Karen, the apparent leader of the group, and handed her a bill totaling $423.23, which included tax and tip. The transformation I witnessed was astounding. I had never seen someone sober up so quickly. One moment, she was laughing and enjoying herself with her friends, and the next, she was on the verge of tears, her demeanor shifting dramatically. She called me over, visibly distressed, and asked if the bill was a joke. I took a moment to examine the bill, feigning confusion and apologizing, assuring her I would retrieve the correct amount. She seemed relieved, assuming that I had mistakenly handed her someone else's bill, and called me an effing idiot before returning to her friends. However, When I returned with what I thought was the correct bill, her reaction was one of sheer disbelief. She began to scrutinize the charges, questioning if there was something on the bill that she hadn't ordered. The group fell silent, stunned as they flipped through the detailed breakdown of their charges, even going back over the lines that noted their original rounds as complimentary. Suddenly, Queen Karen announced that she needed to use the restroom. I couldn't shake the fear that she might attempt to skip out on the bill, leaving her friends to deal with the consequences. To subtly remind her of her obligations, I discreetly noted that we had her ID and credit card, hoping to alleviate my concerns about her financial situation. After about 10 minutes, she returned, her makeup touched up, but it was clear she had been crying. She launched into a tirade about how terrible the food had been and how dreadful the drinks were, demanding that I cut the bill in half. She claimed her friends would pitch in, despite having previously stated that she would be covering the cost of the evening herself. In a desperate bid to save face, she brought up an alleged relationship with the restaurant owner, as if that would give me the motivation to lower her bill. I maintained a polite but firm demeanor, smiling as I responded, "No, I can't change the bill." Undeterred, she took out her phone and displayed a series of text messages from a contact named in a way that included my restaurant's name and the word owner. In that moment, I realized what she had likely been doing in the restroom, changing one of her friend's contact names and deleting previous messages to construct a convincing narrative. I took a moment to review the messages she showed me, clicking on the contact information, and calmly pointed out that the number she provided wasn't actually the owner's cell phone number. She shot back, "He has multiple phones for business. Of course, you don't know all his numbers." I decided to offer her a solution. "How about this?" I proposed. "If we call him and he agrees to let you take 50% off the bill, then I'll do it." This suggestion seemed to trigger her temper, and she began to scream and rant, drawing the attention of the few remaining patrons in the restaurant. I sensed it was time to take a firmer stand. "Cut the crap, little girl," I said, my tone turning serious. "You don't know the owner, and you've never been here before tonight. If you continue to rant, I will call the cops." Her demeanor shifted again as she attempted to defend herself, but I cut her off. "My grandfather established this restaurant. My family has been running it for generations. I've worked here my entire life, and I have never seen you or made any promises to a stranger before tonight." The other young women, once brimming with confidence, were now silent, seemingly unsure of how to react to my assertive stance. Queen Karen, now in tears, was clearly overwhelmed. I pressed on. "I provided you with the table you wanted, one of our reserved tables for high-end clientele, which I didn't charge you for, as well as 3 rounds of complimentary drinks. If you do not pay your bill, I will call the cops and provide them with your identification." In that moment of defeat, Queen Karen signed the bill, tears streaming down her face. The tiny Karens quickly reached into their wallets, frantically collecting whatever cash they could find, likely just a couple of $100, while promising to repay her later. Just 2 days later, an irate man arrived at my restaurant, demanding to speak with one of my bartenders. I was in my back office at the time, so he had to wait about half an hour. The bartender, who had accompanied him, kept her head down in silence. I escorted them both to my office and showed him highlights from the security cameras, which provided exceptionally clear audio since they were in the VIP area. We needed high-quality recordings in that section due to previous incidents. I displayed the footage, highlighting their remarks and orders. Once I had shown him everything, he stormed out of my office, berating the young woman the entire way. I haven't seen or heard from any of them since that night, but the original bill I presented to them, one that didn't include the $120 for the oysters, now hangs framed on my desk as a reminder of that eventful evening. As a side note, I didn't lose as much revenue on that table during the 3 rounds of drinks as one might assume. The table had been set aside to remain empty, so I didn't lose anything because I had not expected to gain anything in the first place. The cost of the meal and other drinks more than compensated for any perceived loss from those initial complimentary rounds. Reflecting on the entire situation, I'm left wondering, was I in the wrong? The most astonishing aspect of this encounter, aside from the financial maneuvering attempted by the women, was their perspective on the world. One statement made by the baby Karen about my supposed lack of worth as a waiter resonated deeply with me. It seemed I was ready to let go of any desire for vengeance, but that particular comment struck a nerve. It exemplified an incredibly entitled viewpoint. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having a job, regardless of the income it provides, and it's disheartening to see individuals believe they are superior simply because they work in a different capacity. All jobs deserve respect, including those of janitors or waiters. Yet in this case, she not only harbored that disdain, but also sought to ridicule me for doing a challenging job that she clearly underestimated. In a somewhat satisfying twist, the father's frustration seemed to be directed more toward his daughter than at me, the restaurant owner. The only concern that lingered in my mind was the knowledge that the restaurant was recording audio of the patrons at that table. I'd likely reconsider dining at a restaurant if I knew my conversations were being recorded without my knowledge. In conclusion, while the situation resolved in a way that felt just, I would be genuinely interested to hear how you would have handled it if you were the owner of the restaurant faced with such entitled customers. Was I a jerk, or did I respond appropriately, and why? Thank you for taking the time to engage with the story. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more shocking real-life stories unfolding around you.